Well, howdy folks, Huckrex here, and welcome to Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 134. Today we're going to be talking about the Charger. Yes, that 80-ton mech that everybody loves to hate. Well, because, if you look at the early version of the A1, yeah, we understand why. Alright, the Charger. Well, if you want to go back and look at that episode, what was it? 64, I think it is. That episode where we talk about the 3039 version, the A1, where, it's a pile of dung. Unless you downgrade it to a 464 mech, then it's not so bad. But, hey, you can go back and look at that one. Now, the Charger, the newest version in the 3050 era with all kinds of new technology added on, well, it sort of makes it into something that can be used in the configuration that's in the book. At least I've used it before. Okay, the Charger, 80 tons. Assault mech, it's a 585. Yes, it has jump jets. And how do they do that? Well, it's got this wonderful thing called the XL engine. Well, I'm not a big fan of XL engines, but on this mech, well, it's sort of needed if you want to keep the speed up. It has 24, it's got 12 double heat sinks for 24 dissipation, which isn't bad. It can use all of them. Basically, for the amount of heat that it can put out, it runs pretty cool. It has 179 points of ferrofibrous armor, which is 10 tons. So it has a little bit of benefit from that. It's getting, 19 more points out of the ferrofibrous, and it has plenty of space to use it. So, yeah. Which is going to need all the armor it can get because, it has XL engines. And it doesn't take much to kill a mech with XL engines if you can blow out the torsos. Alright, equipment-wise, it has an LRM-20 in the right torso with 2 tons of ammo in case in the left torso where the ammo is located. And then we have Artemis fire control system attached to that, so you get your little addition to seeing how many more extra missiles you can get hitting the target. Then it has a plethora of weapons. It has medium pulse laser in the right torso, medium pulse laser in the right arm, medium pulse laser in the left torso, and a medium pulse laser in the left arm. Then, obviously, the jump jets, 2 in each leg, and then 1 in the center torso. Okay, now we're just looking at the current configuration of this mech. It isn't so bad. It with the 585, it's one of those ones where I typically would not use it in frontline use against assaults. Because with the XL engines, it's going to die pretty quickly. Because if I see a Charger running around and it's like, oh, okay, it's that one, I'll just focus it down, blow a torso out, and call her a done dinner. Because all it has is the LRM-20 to be used. Now, you could use it as kind of a fire support base, quick reaction force. Let's say you got a fire support lance that has a couple archers in it, maybe a longbow or a catapult, 3 of those where they can lay down, even a salamander for that mark. Oh, what's a salamander? Yeah, we'll talk about that sometime. And you're sitting there laying down a fire, and you could put a Charger in there that is kind of more of a bodyguard, so that you can sit there and it's like, oh, somebody's coming in, I can get over there really quick, and it has those pulse lasers so it can jump and fire the pulse lasers in their face and do some damage. But until that time they have to relocate, it has the LRM-20. And with that LRM-20, it's capable of sitting there in the role of the fire support, laying down a barrage of fire while it's being a bodyguard. And then if it has to displace, it can. And then flip over and continue firing and maybe a secondary target with your LRM-20 for farther down range. Because, heck, the most, it can fire all of its weapons and not jump. If it runs, it's going to run cool, okay? So it doesn't have to worry too much about the heat. aspect of it, so it can throw a secondary target if somebody's in their face. So that's one of the benefit I can see of it. Now the second thing is, if I have a whole bunch of medium mechs that are 5'8", let's say you got some Shadowhawks or Phoenix Hawks or Wolverines, you know, that type of thing, where they're the 5'8", 5'3", depending on the era. If you have one of these, it would make a great Lance Commander. You know, it could get in there and just run around as throwing an assault mech that's fast moving, can keep up with the 5'8" moving mechs, and make a great Lance Commander. You know, not on the exact, well, it's not going to be a front line where it's not going to be taking on assaults or anything like that. Because if I had a light lance or something, and I see this thing come literally charging at me, it's like, okay, it's going to take a while to pummel this guy to bring him down. It's because he has so much armor on him and internal structure. Yeah, the odds are not in your favor, so you may turn around and have to continually to maneuver more to get out of the way of this thing, and it's kind of a deterrent. Now, if you're facing clans, and if you got a bunch of clan mechs, and you see one of these things, you're like, oh, let's just kill it and get it out of the way real quickly, because let me tell you, clan mechs will tear this thing apart and nothing flat. So it's definitely not a mech that you really want to face the clans with. Even medium clan mechs will do a number on this thing pretty quickly. Now, against lights, that's a different story, but then you fall into the problem of against clan lights. You got good pilots in them, and they're fast, so you're going to have a harder time even touching the clan mechs to begin with. So there is that. Now, there is a few variants on these things. Is that you have, well, this one here, the 3K, is based, I think, on the 9A or A9, or however, I think it's the A9. That's how it is, you know, with this configuration. But there is a couple other ones, and you got the CGR-C, which trades out a medium pulse laser for a C3 slave and an additional ton of ammo. So once again, with the slave system, you have an eyes and ear mech out in front of you that has, somebody's going to be in the lance, will have the command module, and this one will have a slave, so it can turn around. This one will be either the one being the scout for the fire support lance, or it can link in with others and become the bringing that LRM into closer range with somebody out, eyes and ears out in front of you. So that isn't so bad of a version. I can really see the benefits of having that C3 slave system on there and more ammo, so it can sit there. You know, when you got 3 tons of ammo, that's telling me that this becomes more of a fire support, quick reaction type of mech. You know, it's not going to be something you're going to throw into the front line, but it's able to displace it once again, and it can sit there and fire that LRM for a long time before the ammo bays run dry. And if the ammo bay runs dry, then you still got the pulse lasers to get up close. You know, you got to get really close, within 6 with those things. But, yeah, that's just the nature of the beast. But being a 5.85, it can get in there pretty quickly and get those weapons into action. But, you'd be one of those cases where it's like, oh, he has no weapons to shoot at me until he gets within 6, so let's just pummel him down into a pile of junk before he gets there. So there you go. That is one thing. Now we have let's see, there's this the 1L. Okay, uses a punishment assignment for those who view. Okay, others, they got the 1A1. Let's see, they got the A9. Now there's so many different variants. Then there's the KMZ, which uses light PPCs and heavy PPCs, etc. There's some that variants where they take the advanced technology, and it's still it's a 464, so they have more tonnage, turning it into a more of a really heavy close-in assault mech without the XL engines on board. And you're typically looking at something that's got the weapon payload similar to the Awesome, which we just talked about not too long ago. So then you're looking at large lasers, large lasers, SRMs, etc. There's a plethora of different variants of the Charger that's a 4.6 mover. Now, one thing is, let's say we look at the 3K and we want to change it slightly. Now, one thing you can do is turning it from a fire support mech and turn it into a true bodyguard, direct fire bodyguard, is drop the LRM-20 in the Artemis in case and put on an ERPPC. So now you got a direct fire weapon system. You can turn around and take it and keep everything the same, but now you got an ERPPC instead of an LRM-20. Then you got a whole bunch of tonnage that is free to play with. So you can turn around and max out the armor on this thing, so it's got the 247 points of armor. So that will protect the XL engines better. But then you can turn around with the extra tonnage left over. Still put the C3 Slave on, which is one of the variants that they use. The command version, which was the C, I think it was. This was a Slave. And then you can put on also a Guardian ECM, because you're going to have a little bit of extra tonnage also. So you have something that can turn off someone's ECM. With the ECM bubble, you can get in close, and if somebody has a C3 system, you can shut those off around you, get in close. And then this, with the C3 Slave itself, this now becomes the guy that's going to be running up. Let's say you throw this into an assault lance with the XL engines, it's going to be the one that's going to be the eyes and ears for an assault lance. So it can fire that PPC when it's running and getting in closer as it's closing, and then when it does get in close, it has those medium pulse lasers to start wrecking a little, tearing some armor off people. But you got the C3 Slave, so everybody that's behind you is now shooting closer, with their fire configuration that they may have. So that is one version that I've used before, and I call that the 4K. So it's the 3K, but it's dropping one weapon system and uploading more armor on it. So it's taking the best of the C version, and then you're taking the 3K version and kind of combining them together and making something that's a little bit better. It does come in around 1,500 battle value, but what can you say? It's something that if you really want to use it as assault mech, put it into the role that it can be designed for. And let me tell you, you take this version right here that I just designed, and you throw that into a medium lance style, where it's got some fast moving medium mechs or something like that with it. Wow. And then if you don't have a C3 system, you can turn around and just say the C3 is now like a medium laser or something of that nature. So now it has something that can really tear things up when it gets in close. All right. So that is pretty much how I would configure out the Charger in its new configuration. It's not bad, but you got to put it in the right role. Do not get these things. If you're facing clans, find something different. Because let me tell you, like I said before, clan mechs, they see somebody with an inner sphere mech with XL engines, we're going to focus fire that thing down and tear it to pieces really quick, just because all you got to do is tear out a torso and it's done. You don't have to kill the entire mech. because you can't zombie mech a mech with an XL engine, because once the torso's gone, that it's done. That's it. It takes those 3 engine hits. So that's pretty much everything to be said about the Charger. Hope you guys like this one. Like and subscribe. Share with all your friends. And we will talk with you later. Hellcracks out.